Welcome to WonderTalk, a series where I talk about my character's background, history, story, lore, and roleplay outside of the main playthrough. Our Inquisitor Jaavik recently made his way into the Okara droid factory on Balmora, and well, I'm really bad at jumping for datacrons, so unfortunately we didn't quite get the last one, but we'll get it on the 6th try, right? On the last episode of Wonder Talk, I asked you guys about Jaavik's father. We've decided that his mother was slightly force-sensitive, she was very caring, loved her family, very savvy, very charismatic, and a little good at predicting the future when it comes to her business. But we didn't know too much about his dad. We did decide that his dad did not know about the fact that Jaavik was force-sensitive while his mom knew from previous episodes of Wonder Talk. And if you've never tuned in for this series, you guys get to help decide Jaavik's story. So here are some of the comments that you guys left about Jaavik's father. This is a really interesting comment from Person. In the last episode, I was referring to Jaavik's parents. Jaavik's last name is Vutta, V-U-T-T-A, and I was saying Mrs. Vutta and Mr. Vutta because I didn't really have a last name for him yet. And Person had a really neat comment about that I didn't think about at all. Would Jaavik's father even have the same last name as him? I was looking, and last names and marriage in Star Wars, and it doesn't seem like there's one clear option when two people marry. When Shmi Skywalker got married, she became Shmi Skywalker-Lars. And Beru Whitesun became Beru Whitesun-Lars, but when Leia and Padme got married, they didn't change their last names. Except in Legends when Leia became Leia Organa Solo. But that's Legends. Does it count? Definitely we're playing a Legends game! Sorry. Continuing Person's comment. And Leia's mother Breha just took the last name Organa. I think they might only change their last names if they are moving up in class or something like that. Or maybe his mother and father never married? Just a thought. I feel his father should be older than his mother. So let's keep that. Jaavik's father is officially older than Jaavik's mother. As far as the last name thing, I honestly don't know how it goes in Cathar culture. I don't know if there's a last name marriage guide written around anywhere. But that is some really interesting points about different well-known Star Wars characters. Sometimes they change their names, sometimes they don't. Maybe it's kind of like real life, where you don't have to change your name if you don't want to. For us, obviously, especially, I don't know about other countries, but in the United States, you usually what happens is you take the husband's last name. So the husband and the wife get married, and the wife takes the husband's last name. In the olden days, that was what you did. Absolutely, no one did it any differently, and if you did it differently, people were like, scandalous. These days, people kind of do whatever makes them a little more happy. Maybe the wife keeps her name. Maybe she gets her last name dash her husband's last name. Maybe even her husband takes her last name, or they just both keep them separate. Like, there's all kinds of symbolism and other types of reasons to unite and take the same name, but there's also should be some independence in a relationship. Maybe both of you really love your two families and you want to keep them separate. Maybe you have businesses that are attached to those names and you don't want to get rid of them. So there's all kinds of reasons for or against to take last names. So for example, I honestly don't care too much about my last name. I don't actually even go by my first name very much. I go by a series of nicknames, so being called Swtorista is just one in a line of many. And so I decided to take my husband's last name when I got married, just so we could have the same one. I don't know, I feel like it would be confusing otherwise. Why are you guys married but you don't have the same last name? Because that's what we wanted! Don't make fun of us! Anyways. Long story short, I don't know what exactly things should be, so just for the sheer sake of simplicity, I'm going to keep calling them Mrs. Vutta and Mr. Vutta and say they decided to combine their last names. But heck, maybe this was a name that they picked together. They thought it was a pretty name. It sounds like Hutta, but let's not tell them that. Let's move on. Cassandra says, Daddy Cat needs a name. Stat! And that is true. We can't just keep calling him Jaavik's dad and Mr. Vutta and, well, Daddy Cat as much as I like that name. So we're lucky, Cassandra. Taram actually left a comment who had an idea for Jaavik's daddy's last name. They said, I'd like to say that maybe his dad's name is either Token or Rythen. I just like those names. Not sure if there's any kind of codex for the Cathar language. So let's take a look at our characters' names. We have Jaavik, Vutta. We have Shiva, Vutta, his mom. And I'm thinking I like Rythen Vutta for his dad. I feel like it fits in well. Token kind of makes me laugh because it makes me, I know you spelled it differently, but it makes me think of the author of Lord of the Rings. So I don't think I could shake that off. But I do like Rythen a lot. So there we go. We have Shiva Vutta married Rythen Vutta, and they had a dark-haired child named Jaavik Vutta. Taram also had some comments about what his dad could be like. I kind of like to think that Jaavik is the spitting image of his dad, with the pretty dark fur and brilliant green eyes. I like to believe that his father is still alive, out there waiting for the opportunity to find his family again someday. Perhaps a few months after Jaavik and Shiva leave Alderaan, he came back looking only to find them missing. Maybe he's also searching for his son and wife, the same way Jaavik is looking for his mom. Ugh, that's so sad. That gave me like little shivery tingles. That's a very likely thing to have happened if his father did not die. We don't really know what happened. He went off to Dathomir to help fight in the war, and I don't know. They assumed he was dead, or they just kind of lost contact with him. They didn't really even get any info about it, and eventually they had to flee Alderaan for unrelated reasons. So that is definitely something that could have happened to Rythen. Mr. Game Utopia also had some ideas. Well, let's say this. He is big as Jaavik when he was his age. Like their ancestors, he was always busy in trading, helping his family's business successful. A lot of Alderaan nobles appreciated his family business, gaining more income to their business and profit. However, that all changed when the war broke out. Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Sorry. By some order, let's just say, Jaavik's father, while Jaavik was still a baby cub, was drafted into the war to fight by the Republic's order, and he was sent to Dathomir. As for his status of living, well, I would say we should not affirm that he is dead nor alive. Therefore, if he is alive or not is unknown. And you know what, Mr. Game Utopia? I think I 100% agree with you. He was working hard on his business, loving his family, doing great with his business. He had a charismatic wife, and he was no slouch himself. And they were in touch with lots of the Alderaan nobles, especially, I believe was it House Olga I was saying Jaavik was a page at, and he got drafted for the war. Maybe he volunteered. One way or another, he went off to fight with the Republic, with the good guys, and we don't know what happened to him. And I'm not going to tell you guys. Haha! Icy Frost Productions also had some ideas. Personally, I think his father should be dead. But Jaavik should only learn this from his mama. It could be something that strengthens his connection to the dark side even. That, or maybe he became a scummy rogue that disgraces his family. Wow, that first option would be really crazy. Can you imagine Jaavik's elation and wonderment and awesome feelings about finally finding his mom and freeing her, and his mom finds out he's a powerful force user and he's gained his own freedom and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, Jaavik, your dad's dead. Oh my god, I would cry. I wish I could watch that movie right now. No, I don't, because then I would cry. I think that's also a very fun idea that, in my head, Jaavik's father is very noble. He went off to fight in the war. He took care of his family. And then all of a sudden he just becomes a smuggler or something. He's smuggling spice and just after credits because he can't find his family. It's let loose now that the kids and the wife are gone. So Gorilla King 87 also had a comment. And guess what? This is Gorilla King's first comment. So, give me that first comment award, they said. So Gorilla King, congratulations on your first comment. Here's your thumbs up. I've said it in other episodes, but I really love reading what you guys have to say. I don't care if you spell it horribly. I don't care if you just kind of jot it off from the top of your head if you have a random idea. I don't care if you even just come to say hi if you don't have any ideas. I love reading your comments. I try and respond to as many as possible, except for these episodes. I try and reply in the video. But even if you guys just have questions, you are more than welcome to say hi in the comments. I'm happy to help you out. So this is what Gorilla King 87 had to say. Maybe you could say his father is still alive, but during his time, you could say that his handful of fighters were defeated and captured and sold into slavery, and all this time he has been working as a slave, and since he said something about Tatooine, you could say he was sold to a Hutt who operates on Tatooine, and that's how he sees his son. Oh my, this is just a circle of slavery in this poor family. As far as his father looks, you could say he was built. But after a few years into slavery, he is now very thin from not eating a lot due to the cruelty of his slavers. Why he joined the fight? Because he had a good heart and wanted to help. Maybe you could say that the war was going on was hired Mandalorians sent there to collect Sabrak slaves, and since the history between Cathars and Mandalorians were just as bad, a Jedi and Sith, that was the reason to help. I don't know a lot about the Dathomirian War. I know it was one of the planets affected during the recent war, like right before this game comes out, or like right during. I can't remember. I'm bad at timelines, sorry. But I believe you're right. Is it Zabraks on Dathomir? I think yes. That's what the shamans are. Oh gosh, I need to go Google some stuff. Hold on. Okay, sweet. I now have knowledge. Dathomir was a remote neutral planet in the Quelli sector and home of the Night Sisters. The Night Sisters, also known as Dathomir Witches, made their home in the swamps and wielded magics fueled by Dathomir's own power. Dathomir was also home to the Night Brothers, Zabraks who were ruled by the Night Sisters. So yeah, there was definitely some Zabraks on Dathomir. You are correct, sir. Cassandra, as usual, has a wonderful comment to leave us for this series. I think Jaavik's father is alive. I like the idea that Jaavik's father is a bit of a dreamer and an idealist. Whereas Jaavik's mother was the more practical, business-minded one, I think the father would have gone to help out with the war effort because it was the right thing to do, and because this man is determined to help shape the galaxy into the kind of place he wants his children, Jaavik, and grandchildren to live. I don't think anything big or terribly traumatic happened to Jaavik's father. I think Daddy Cat just got caught up. War messes up all sorts of things, and when a family flees their home, it can leave the soldier with almost no way to find them again. Years can pass before they're all reunited, if ever. This has happened countless times in real life, and is certainly feasible with Jaavik's story. As far as Jaavik's father looks, I think he's probably pretty buff. Was probably a very physically gifted person since he was comfortable running off to be a soldier. But I do think Jaavik and his father look very different. I do think it would be interesting if Jaavik was the spitting image of his father's father. That could make for some really interesting roleplay storytelling when the two are reunited. Jaavik's father hasn't seen him in years, and when they finally do meet again for Jaavik's father, it would be a shock to see his son looking so much like Jaavik's father's father. And that would be something really fun to play with. That would be really cool. Can you imagine if Jaavik looks like his own grandfather and meets his dad who's either been in slavery or been through the horrors of war, and he's like, Dad? And Jaavik's like, Dad? And, well, that would be a little confusing, maybe not, but it would be really cool. That'd be a really neat little thing to write about. I think what I'm going to do is, yes, Jaavik's father is a bit of a dreamer and an idealist, and Jaavik's mom was more the practical-minded one. And he went off to war in a noble fashion to try and help the people of Dathomir, to try and help the Zabraks and the Night Sisters there, to try and ensure freedom so that there wasn't another Mandalorian business going on like the planet of Cathar in the past. So I think I'm also going to say that Jaavik's father looked like Jaavik, like spitting image, but maybe a little bit bigger since Jaavik's still going through his growth spurt. He's a big kitty, but he could be bigger. So yes, he's the spitting image of Jaavik, the dark fur, the green eyes. Jaavik didn't inherit any of his mother's looks, apparently. And not force sensitive at all. A very stout kind of person, stands up for his family, stands up for what he thinks is right, and we're going to leave whether he's alive or not, or where he's escaped to if he is alive, a mystery for now. So I will see you guys on the next episode of Wonder Talk. I don't have a question prepared for the roleplay story right now, but I do have a question specifically for you guys. If you haven't yet, make sure to check out all the info about these server merges that are coming up. I'm going to make sure the link is in the description and in the comments. And I want to know, what server are you going to wind up on? And do you have any questions or worries about it? Leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys. I will be on the East Coast server, the Starforge one, so I'm curious where you guys wind up too. I'll see you guys later. Bye!